Well, yeah, look, Benji, appreciate you kind of jumping on here and us having a conversation about how the last couple of weeks with Tempo have been. I've personally seen immense progress in you, and honestly, I just want to kind of figure out how you've got on, and how things have gone for you in your eyes. Paint a bit of a picture for me in terms of, let's say, before you jumped on 12 weeks ago now. I know you had a conversation with Reese. Talk to me about kind of like why you jumped on. What was your current situation, and yeah, what made you pull the trigger?
Yeah, no, when first kind of joining on to Tempo, you reached out to me on Instagram and talked to Reese and had a really good conversation. I think the first kind of thing that, you know, kind of brought me on was how like it was just good people, you and Reese were just really good people, easy to talk to and seemed really passionate about it. And I think that's kind of what I wanted at that moment was kind of just a bit of structure in my life and wanting to improve in different areas. So obviously the work on my physical, my mental, and then even you guys working on nutrition. So when I heard all of that and seeing your passion into it, I was like, okay, this is something I'd love to be a part of because it's fun. It's good when someone's passionate about it, someone's getting on to you about it, so you kind of feel like you're always wanting to get better constantly. And I think that's the biggest thing that I wanted out of these 12 weeks. And I 100% felt I got from it was just that, again, that passion and building and getting better daily. And I feel after the 12 weeks, I've 100% got that.
Yeah, I think again, like we sensed that passion in you as well, especially from the very beginning. You're young, you made a big move to move to Ireland at such a young age, and that resonated with us. Like we done the same. We done the opposite. We went over to North America, really, me and Anne Reese, and at 19 as well. So it was a case of, yeah, we can see that this kid has the drive and has the goals that we also had, and that's why we kind of knew that we could help you. And I think it's funny you talked about structure. Like I think that was the big thing with you. What kind of was your day to day life maybe before? Maybe you were doing a session here and doing an extra session here, but there was no real structure around your week. Tell me more.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I think the big problem was kind of loading my weeks. Again, like I've always, as you said, like wanting to be someone passionate about my work, wanting to do extra work, but not having that knowing when to kind of progress and when to deload. So again, kind of learning, putting in more work early on in the week and then tapering off before a game, I think was a big change for me when I feel that I'm putting in a lot of work. So I'm going confident into a game, but I'm also feeling at my best. I think that was kind of the biggest change for me going into it because again, sometimes in games, I'd be kind of going in maybe a bit tired or that because I put in work maybe a bit too soon. But I think the way it was structured was I could get in a lot of good quality work, like 2 to 3 sessions in a day, and yet still feel good when I have to play my game.
I think that's something that a lot of athletes struggle with is the kind of periodization when it comes to a week. And you probably seen at the very beginning, we were putting two sessions in alongside your club session, and maybe you were a bit, like shocked at how we could actually fit all this in. But it's crazy how quickly your body does adapt to it, right? And you have the ability, especially when you periodize correctly, you have the ability to front load a lot of the work for the week because you're recovered after your game and you have a lot of good work early in the week so that you're feeling fresh for the game. I think that's something that a lot of athletes in general struggle with is like just planning their week to actually for the result on the weekend, and I think especially like in your position when you're training every single day, you're in a professional environment realistically, where you have to train every single day, you have to be on the ball, but you also have the ability in the evening times to get your extra sessions in. And I think, like I said, like that's one of the things that we noticed with you in particular is that you always found the time to tick all the boxes and get your extra sessions in, and that helps us in a way. That helps us be better coaches, and it helps us. And don't get me wrong, there were ups and downs along the way, and obviously we can talk about them. But I think overall, you develop that structure and you fit it into that structure very very quickly. which was amazing to see. And like obviously, like you joined, and I think again maybe the mindset aspect of the program was another big maybe needle mover for you. Talk to me about, like, let's say your mindset before joining, and maybe like a couple of weeks in, how did you kind of, or were you even surprised at the level of detail of some of the mindset work?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that was something I really enjoyed about it as well, because, again, I think a lot of the time everyone's kind of focused on the physical side and doing extra training, but taking the time to kind of work on the mental side with you, and obviously having a few other lads working on it as well, was really great, because you're kind of in a group doing that. And I just think going from day one to week 12 now, I think it's been a huge growth in how I kind of look at myself and look at my life, because it's, as I said before, like it's almost all mental. There's going to be so many ups and downs. So going through that program really helped me regulate that and just improve my overall mood, and my, again, just boosting that kind of passion for the game and wanting to get better.
It's interesting how, like, like I said, we did have our ups and downs, and even towards the back end of the 12 weeks, we were obviously in a situation where we were not in control. But I think again, like some of the obviously the modules, we're going deep into that, and we're talking specifically about your setbacks, and talking about how to recover and how to be consistent even in the face of adversity. Was there a specific kind of module maybe that hit home a little harder for you over the past 12 weeks?
Yeah, definitely module 5, which was about consistency. I think that's just a big one that, again, kind of learned about, because this life and the sport, there's so many, again, as we said, ups and downs, but that consistent kind of nature of just showing up every day, even when things aren't going so well, or even if they are going really well. If you can keep showing up at your best self, eventually you're going to make it, and it's going to work out. So I think that was really a really fun one I enjoyed working with.
It's funny, other people said that too, and it's interesting how certain modules will actually hit home for different people, especially people in different industries. Like, we have like the agency guys in there, we've the sales guys, we've obviously the athletes, and a lot of the time the same principles apply to everyone. It's consistency. It's doing the right things over and over and over again. It's eating the right foods. It's being consistent and being diligent with your training. And a lot of the times, they transfer over. And I think, like, you even understanding that module in great detail will then transfer into other areas of your life outside of your sport. Because again, as we talked about it, your sport is a finite game. As much as we don't want that to be the case, there will come a day where you have to hang the boots up, and you are preparing yourself by learning all these skills now. You're preparing yourself for that in a couple of years. Again, you have another 20 years, so we don't even need to worry about that now. But talk to me then about kind of let's say the long-term goals. Obviously we had 12 weeks in with us. What's the plan going forward in the next 12 weeks to 12 months? What do you think?
Yeah, again, it's about fully now building on everything that I've learned, because, again, as I said, I'm at a stage now where I'm young. So that's kind of, again, a big point of me why I joined on, is because I want to now build that consistent nature. And so that's the biggest thing for me is now is continuing that work now every single day, and then that hopefully accumulating into, let's see what happens in the future, but hopefully something big.
I have absolutely no doubt. I think again, like I said, it's one of those things where you can almost sense very, very early on how someone is going to be. And we really only work with certain people that we know will push themselves, because you can very easily, do this stuff on your own. You don't get me wrong, but especially when you have other people in your corner who are motivating you, who are pushing you, like, what it's like. You see the photos and the kind of videos and stuff like that in the group, and like you said, even jumping on with a lot of the guys every weekend, and learning from them and learning from some of their mistakes and their lessons, is extremely valuable. Talk to me about those calls in particular, because I know you were one of those ones who were showing up every single week and being extremely diligent. Talk to me how you found them and how you may be best prepared for them.
Yeah, again, I think it's really great having that kind of environment where you're surrounded by people that all are kind of trying to improve and get better. Because when you're in a group call like that, you don't really feel like you're all on your own, kind of in the journey. So just being around people that want the same thing, or I mean, not necessarily the same thing, but kind of similar goals, and it's really fun getting together, and it's enjoyable when you're kind of answering questions and actually being in the moment, because then you're kind of more present rather than just kind of focusing on your own. So I thought it was really good getting together, and I think that was an awesome part of it.
I love them calls. Like I genuinely love. That's why I do them because it gives us, and like you said, it gives us the ability to kind of personalize a lot of the information. You know what it's like in the modules. Like the modules are quite broad for a reason because they're there to hit different types of people who are on similar trajectories, but they're doing different things. Whereas when you jump on the call and there's a whole group of people, there's sales guys, there's agency guys, there's athletes, there's entrepreneurs, whatever it may be. All these people have their own issues and have their own problems, and I love being able to personalize a lot of the information, um, in those calls, and it's fun. Like you know what I mean. Like we have a bit of a laugh. I think that's one thing that maybe people don't. I think people look at us from the outside and think that we're extremely serious. What would you maybe say to those people that think we're too dialed in or we're too locked in?
Yeah, I know, definitely not. You have to enjoy it. I think that's a big part. Again, like that's what it's about. It's about enjoying it, and it's definitely a good. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a bit of a laugh. You know what it's like. We don't like again we're quite serious with our work and we have to be because we want you to get a result. But at the same time you have to have a bit of fun with it. And even through the tough times, I think again you dealt with something that I dealt with a lot, Reese has dealt with a lot, Max has dealt with a lot in terms of, not playing as much as maybe you wanted. Um how did you find the kind of the training, but also the mindset benefit you when it came to dealing with that tough period?
Yeah, I think that's everything, because when you're down in the when you're not playing as much or things aren't going as well, it's very easy to fall into bad habits. So having that mindset training, that physical training, gives you that outlet, and it gives you kind of that other thing, like not identifying to that one thing of playing, but just working sort of on something on yourself, on something outside of the game really helps, because again it gives you again that goal that you're working towards, and even if it's not showing up right away, eventually it will, and that's something really positive I think everyone can benefit from.
I think, like you said it there, like your purpose, like having that purpose outside of your sport is huge. And especially when it came to, there was a couple of weeks there where maybe we weren't getting the minutes that we'd wanted, but straight away then when you got thrown into a 90-minute game, the body held up and the mind held up because we were strong across the weeks and we were getting in extra sessions. We could have very easily just sat there and cried about it, realistically, or you had the opportunity to use that time off to work. And again, honestly, I did see there were weeks there where stuff was getting ticked off, but I knew that it wasn't, and it was a chore and it was a struggle, and I was probably on your back a little bit, but at the same time, it was necessary because you seen then you went 3 games in a row playing 80, 90 minutes, and it made me very proud and very happy to see that progression in you. And because again, like I said, I went through the exact same thing, but it was a case for you of this work will pay off. This work will pay off, and every single day telling yourself that is so important, and it's maybe something that we don't really we don't really talk about it a lot. And having a coach there is and yeah, I plan your sessions for you and stuff like that. But what would you say then in terms of like the communication? Are we on you enough? Do we send you enough messages? Do we not maybe text you enough, or what do you think?
Yeah, no, really good. I mean, I think, yeah, you're right on that, because sometimes taking it off can be, probably the most annoying part. But when you're always on me and checking in, like at least once a day, it helps a lot because even just to know someone's on you makes you want to do it more. So I thought that was really great every single day, having that kind of someone to push you on to do the work.
We want to see you win. Like realistically, at the end of the day, we want to see our clients and win, and we look at it's much. I feel like it's much more than a client relationship. Like, we want to see you progress. We want to see you get to the next level, and especially when you come to us with big goals like you did, it's in our best interest to push you as much as possible because you've told us that these are your goals. And again, I think we are most definitely well on our way to achieving, at least, the goals that we even set ourselves at the very beginning. If you actually like kind of think about it and look back to maybe where you are or where you were, let's say 12 weeks ago, compared to where you are now, what would you say are maybe some of the biggest changes that you've seen in yourself?
I think again an overall confidence because when you put in that work, it kind of just you feel a lot better and you feel a lot more prepared. I think actually that's the word I would use is prepared. Kind of going into each game each week being prepared and also not being as emotionally set on outcomes because I know that again consistent effort is always going to work out in the end. So I think that's been the biggest shift for me is continuing to put on that work, always feeling prepared and emotionally now ready for it. Yes, as you said, just to get thrown into a game, or even if I get thrown out of a game, just being emotionally ready to put in the work each day, no matter the outcome.
It's beautiful, man. It really is, and I think again, like us hearing that shows the growth in you and in you know and like I said, the progression that you've made over the past 12 weeks to, and more to come. You know what I mean? Genuinely more to come. Um, Really, if let's say someone that is sitting on the fence. I know you were actually gatekeeping us at the start. Don't worry, I remember that. But if there was someone, let's say maybe sitting on the fence who was thinking about coming on board and joining Tempo, what would you actually say to them?
Yeah, I'd say if you're a person that wants to get a structure, if you have big goals and you want to work towards them, I think this is something you should absolutely go and do because it just kind of sets you up in a way where no matter what, every single day you're doing something that's going to lead you towards your goals in a 12-week period. So I think I mean, if you stack that up, that's 3 months. And again, yeah, as I said, like as a person that, wants to have a big goal, I think it's something that can 100% benefit you because you learn that structure and that's something you can take with you the rest of your life.
For sure. Absolutely. Now, Benji, look again. We talk a lot, and I know that you're extremely diligent and you're extremely hardworking. And really, it is only the start. You're only so young, and you have a lot of time to progress. And like I said, I've no doubt that in the future we will be seeing you very, very high up in the levels, especially with the drive and the motivation that you have to succeed. So honestly, it's been a pleasure the last 12 weeks with you, man. Really, really appreciate all that you've done for us as well. And look, at long may this kind of relationship that we've built continue.
Definitely, I really appreciate it all there. Thank you very much.